So we're going to be doing some residual limb wrapping today. So this happens to be a transtibial amputation. So we're just going to be wrapping it today using a 2-liter bottle just wrapped in a pillowcase. So obviously this will have a lot of wrinkles as we're doing this just because of this pillowcase, but we're going to try our best to not have as many wrinkles. If the patient was sitting here, they would be in an extended position just to prevent those knee flexion contractures. And for my ACE bandage today, I'm using just pre-wrap. I don't have too much, so we're going to try to cover as much as the surface as possible. And let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start on this side here in an oblique angle. We want to keep it oblique, or keep doing oblique turns to prevent the tourniquet effect from happening. We don't want to cut off any circulation. And then we're just going to wrap it around from the bottom and do like a figure 8. And as we're doing that, I'm checking for wrinkles as we're doing that. Like I said, this won't be perfect without the proper equipment, but with this you might see a little bit of wrinkles just because we are using pre-wrap. And then I'm going to go around and I kind of trace where I left off here. And I'm going to make sure to kind of keep it tight here in the bottom just because you want to create that gradient pressure where it's more pressure distally than proximally. So far it looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to just keep doing that. Seeing in the back where there's kind of open areas or like where you can see skin and covering those grounds. And then crossing over again. Checking for wrinkles as I go. So kind of seeing this is what it looks like so far. And this is for what the back looks like. So it looks like there's a lot of skin that is covered. So I'm just going to kind of cover those areas. See? So if it happens to snap back, you can just roll it back up until you have good control. Kind of position my residual limb again. Okay. So this is a little difficult using just pre-wrap, but you kind of get the general idea of the pattern that I'm using here just to cover what needs to be covered. So I see that there needs to be more on this side. And I do see some wrinkles, so I'm just going to kind of fix them a little bit with what I can do here. Let's see. Okay, and so I'm kind of running out of pre-wrap right now. So as I continue doing this, you kind of see the pattern that I'm doing. It's kind of like the X pattern here. Oops, let me just kind of get this off here. So you see there's a little bit of wrinkles, so I'm just going to smooth that out with my hand. And it's really tough with the pre-wrap just because it wrinkles very easily. But you see it looks like that. I still needed to cover the back a little bit more, but I was very low on pre-wrap. But I would just continue doing the figure 8 until it's covered all around with 2 layers. And then once I'm done covering it up, I would just check all around to make sure that there's no skin exposed. And I would just check around And then making sure when it ends, so it ended over here, just making sure it doesn't end in the popliteal fold, because that can cause a lot of irritation in the area, especially since there's a lot of movement in the area. So just making sure it doesn't end there, and then you would just use tape to tape it up.